What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the RBI podcast. I am your host, Richie, and I'm happy to be back on a regular schedule with you guys. Last week was a little different. I had obligations, but I was happy to get you guys something out on the Thursday. But we are back to Wednesdays like usual, and we have a lot to talk about like usual. But first off, I want to say happy holidays to everyone, no matter what you celebrate: Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa. We're in the middle of Hanukkah right now, and it is the last episode until Christmas. So if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas to all of you guys. If you celebrate Hanukkah, Happy Hanukkah. You might be celebrating Hanukkah as you're listening to this. I have no idea, but just wanted to give out my sincerest happy holidays to everyone and whoever's come along with this ride for me so far. I appreciate it. I thank you so much. And like always, subscribe to the YouTube channel at RBI Pod. Follow us on TikTok at RBI Pod. I got a couple comments on my last clip, and I was very happy about that, so I could collaborate with you guys. I understand like why people podcast and they want to get like viewers and stuff. I get it. I also do it just because I like collaborating with people. I like having that conversation like about like who's your top five center fielders, who's your best player in the league, who's getting traded here. Like I like having those conversations with like I don't want to call them fans, but like people from around the world. And Instagram, RBI Pod, you know where to find me or us if you consider us a group. But like I said, I appreciate you guys. And without further ado, let's get started into a very busy week of baseball. The first thing that happened was Carlos Rodon. It was the first thing that I really wanted to talk about. Was probably the biggest move. I would say all of the big moves are done now because I'm going to also talk about Dansby Swanson. Carlos Rodon got 6 years, 162 million from the New York Yankees. Yes, the Bronx Bombers are now the Bronx. We'll call them bullpen, but the Bronx pitching staff because this team now has a loaded staff from top to bottom. They added Canely. They still have Clay Holmes, Michael King. That's in the bullpen alone, as well as Cole, Rodon, Severino, Cortez, Domingo Herman's still there. I'm forgetting a guy. Frankie Montas was a top pitcher for Oakland last year, so I know he didn't have a great year last year, but I think he can bounce back this year. I think this is a really big move. I still think they need offense. They lost Benintendi to the White Sox for 5 years. I think it was a solid move for the White Sox. But anyway, I think this was a really good move for the Yankees because Garrett Cole is their ace. No, like no ifs, ands, or buts. He's paid like the ace, no matter what the stats will tell you. He is the quote unquote ace of that rotation. But Carlos Rodon, I got this thought, maybe not, maybe because he's lefty, but last year Nestor Cortez threw 158 innings. Before that, he's never thrown more than 90. And I saw like Yankee fans were saying, people saying the Cortez regression, but didn't see his ERA from the last year. It's like the ERA, like I'm not saying he's a bad pitcher, but we saw he got hurt in the playoffs. He started to slow down a little bit in the playoffs. Fastball started to lose some velocity. This deal protects against that regression, I feel like, because Cortez doesn't have to be your number two anymore, and nor does Severino, who's had his own injury history in the past and is still kind of dealing with them. Like last year, he had the shoulder, obviously the Tommy John, and then like Frankie Montas is an unknown for the Yankees, and Domingo Herman's can't be a two. So I think this is a really good signing. It protects that, but it also gives you a legitimate star pitcher. And I think he's kind of gone under the radar. I saw a YouTube, I don't know if you guys know him, YouTube content creator, Mark Luino, Draftnik Mark, said this is like Zach Wheeler all over again from 19 or 2020, in the fact that he's kind of gone under the radar. He's got great stuff and is undervalued because of injuries or lack of a reputation, I guess you would say. And I think he's got a chance to prove it here. I think he might be the best pitcher in this rotation, but like I said, when it comes to a financial standpoint and just a quote unquote ace, it's Garrett Cole. But Rodon, I think this is a great move. He led the league in FIP last year at 2.25 and Ks per nine at 12. He also had a 2.88 ERA. I also think, like I said, with the Yankees, they made Judge official today or yesterday if you're listening to this on Wednesday. IKF is still their slated shortstop. Donaldson's still their slated third baseman. They don't really have a left fielder right now. And a lot of bats went off the market in the last week since we last spoke. Like Brantley's gone. Brantley went back to the Astros. JD Martinez went to the Dodgers. Joey Gallo, he wasn't coming back, but he went to the Twins. Matt Carpenter went to the Padres, so that's another loss to their lineup. Brandon Drury went to the Angels, who I'm actually going to talk about him a little bit. But my point is that I still think this team lacks offense. Like their pitching was a strong point last year, like for sure a strong point. And they added to that. And I don't discount that. Like I'm not saying they shouldn't have gotten Rodon because when they lost out on Correa, they lost out on DeGrom, I guess, and they lost out on like the shortstops, then you needed to add like something different from last year. You couldn't just like I don't want to say replace, but re-signing guys makes you the same. Now you have to get better. And I think that is the case with a lot of teams. And but obviously the Yankees are always in a big market and they're always top of the line when it comes to salary cap and not salary cap, but just salary in general. Um, I don't know where they turn for offense. Like I keep bringing him up mainly because he's my favorite player, but he's a big option available, and that's Michael Conforto. He's been linked to the Yankees, and I think he actually makes a ton of sense because they have Bader in center, they have Judge and right. Who knows about left field right now? I guess it's Oswaldo Cabrera, but I think, like I spoke about with the Cardinals with Tommy Edman, I think he fits more of that utility mold, like that Chris Taylor mold, where you just kind of slot him in whenever someone needs a day off or a DH a day or just pinch hitter or whatever reason, defensive replacement, like whatever the reason is. So you sign Conforto, you put him in left, Bader center, Judge right, pending health, obviously. And then I would personally roll with, you got to stick with Donaldson right now, third. And then I would personally roll with Peraza at short. And I don't know if I'd bring up Volpe right away, but if not, then I'd put the guy Cabrera at second. I don't think Gleyber Torres is on this roster by opening day. I do think he's traded. I don't know what for, but I don't think the Yankees brass wants to pay him. And it's getting to that time. Like Otani's a free agent soon, like next year, and they came up at the same time. So maybe he's got 1 year left. I don't really know his contract situation, to be honest, but it's got to be soon. And I don't think they want to pay him. So get the value out of him now. Bring up these young kids. Let's see what you got. You signed Judge, you got Rizzo, you got Stanton, but they need offense. I think besides that, they're not deep at all. And that could be your guys. Who knows? Maybe Oswald Peraza is your third best hitter. We don't know. But I think if you're not going to rely on your kids to come up, then you have to sign a proven hitter. Trey Mancini is also still available. AJ Pollock, Adam Duvall. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of quality talent still there, but it's getting thin, and they got to do something fast. But back to the Rodon move, A++ move. This was rumored for a while, and it made too much sense. It was between them and the Twins, so I'd go to the Yankees too if I was him. So, got a big market, got paid finally. He bet on himself like Carlos Correa did. And here we go. And now he is a New York Yankee. The second big move I wanted to talk about today is probably the last big chip to go, and that's Dansby Swanson. Dansby Swanson is now a Chicago Cub. I said that last week. I'm not going to take too much credit for that because it was kind of obvious he was going there. It was either there or I guess back to the Braves or the Dodgers. I don't really know what their plan is, but they didn't sign anyone really. They signed JD Martinez, which I think is a solid signing, but they didn't sign the shortstop, so they kind of still have that hole in the infield. But besides the point, Chicago Cubs get a shortstop. I thought they were going to get one. Didn't think it was going to be him. I thought it was going to be like Correa, but I think it's a good signing. At first, I was a little up in the air about it. He got 7 for 177. I predicted 7 for 190, so a little lower than what I thought he was going to get. Like I said, I've known Dansby Swanson to be like that great defender as an average hitter, but I did some digging into his numbers because I'm like, the dude's a career 95 OPS plus hitter. He had a career high in OPS plus last year at 115, but I looked into it. He's reliable. He's missed 2 games in 3 years. So let's see, 162. So 294 games available in the last 3 years because of the shortened 2020 season. He's played in 292 of them. That's reliable. And we talk about it all the time. The best ability is availability. Obviously, you need skill too, but this guy is playing every day. You look at that lineup card, he's going to be in there. And I think that is really important for a team that is rebuilding, but rebuilding fast. Like they still want to spend money. I saw they're also in on those guys I was talking about before, like those like mid-level hitters. And what better way to start it is by having your shortstop report to the post every day. And that's lost in our game nowadays just because of platooning and rest and all that stuff. But that's the number one reason why I think this is a great move for the Cubs. Number two, since 2020, he's averaging 21 homers, 73 RBIs, 265 average, 775 OPS, 108 OPS plus. What I mean by that is he's not as bad as a hitter as we made him out to be. He had a really awful beginning, but he's really evened out. Like I said, he's a league average hitter probably, but there are encouraging signs to say that last year was not a fluke and that he got a little unlucky in 2021 because he did hit a career high 27 homers in 2021. So a little bit unlucky, I would say, because this is the most interesting fact I found about him. His hard hit percentage has gone up every single year in his career. Is that going to even out? Probably. You're not going to hit 75% hard hit percentage. Like he's in the 40s right now. Still a good number. And I think that's the more you hit the ball hard, the better chance you have of getting hits. Now the shift is going away. All of a sudden, you line a ball into the six hole or the six hole. That's a hit now. And Wrigley, the wind there, you get a ball in the air. He does strike out a lot, but so does everyone. He strikes out a lot, but his chase rate is not awful. It's like actually above average. So that's a good sign. I really like that encouraging. Like he didn't get unlucky this year. Like he didn't get lucky this year. He wasn't hitting bloop shots. He was striking the ball hard, and he's consistently done it better every year, which shows consistency and shows growth, and that projects well for a contract like this. I also talk about his barrel percentage consistently high, 84 percentile or higher since 2020 or better. Like I said, that's important too. Not 84% barrel percentage, but 84th percentile. So, that's top of the league. You hit the ball hard, good things are going to happen. And the more you strike the ball, the more you learn the more you learn to get the ball in the air. That's even more important because, like I said, Chicago, that wind swirling, you get a ball in the air on a day where it's going out, it's going to go out. And obviously, Dansby Swanson, probably, I would say, the best defensive shortstop in the league. He was 100th percentile this year, outs above average. He's been in the red for that, which means like well above average for shortstops every year besides his rookie year. So I wouldn't even worry about a shortstop defense. But now you got him and Nico Horner up the middle, and Nico Horner's a sneaky good player. They might trade Nick Madrigal now. I'm not sure. His ceiling's really dropped because he has no power, and if he doesn't hit for a high average, he's not good. He's basically Adam Frazier, and Adam Frazier got a 1-year deal with the Orioles, so he's not really doing much. You add him, you got Horner, you also got Seiya Suzuki there, you got Ian Happ there. They also signed Jameson Taillon, we know about, Mark Stroman, Justin Steele, Keegan Thompson. They got some guys. They're not perfect. Are they going to compete this year? Probably not. But you build from this. He's not a massive contract. He's not even making $30 million a year. I know it sounds crazy, but it's a good starting point. I don't think he's your last piece by any means. If he's your last piece, that's a problem. But he's a starting point. Maybe next year you're in the Shohei Ohtani market. I'm not sure about that, but you really get yourself in a good position by getting a guy that's just he's won everywhere he's gone. He won with the Braves, he won with Vanderbilt. Pretty sure he won in high school. And he's consistency. And like he doesn't have the highest ceiling, but he is consistently going to be there every day and be a quality baseball player every day. And I think that is so important for these big money contracts that you don't have to worry about him completely tanking. And so congrats to the Cubs, Dansby Swanson. I know a lot of people are also going to love his hair flying in that wind, But that's besides the point. So congrats to the Cubs. I spoke about the offense, the smaller offensive moves. I thought the two that I would speak about, like obviously Brantley going back to the Astros doesn't do much for me. Gallo, I don't think is a good player. I'm sorry, you got to hit at least 200 for me to respect you. Justin Turner to the Red Sox. I'm going to get into the Red Sox in a little bit, but Brandon Drury and Andrew Benintendi. Andrew Benintendi to the White Sox. Good move. I feel like they kind of needed a fundamentally sound baseball player. Like their team is like they're always bad at defense for some reason. Like they always just they when you watch them, they look fundamentally incorrect. Like they run the bases weird. They don't make routine plays. And Andrew Benintendi is like that well-rounded guy. It's a solid signing. I think it's more of a Yankee loss, to be honest, than a White Sox gain. 5 years, 75 million is about market value for him, but it's a solid move. He doesn't have a lot of power, but he's going to play left field every day, and just he slots in there. Probably about second, good average guy, and so all the old school baseball fans are going to love this guy. But I don't know, something about the White Sox just seems off to me, and I think they could change it. I'm not sure, but we'll see. That's really all I have on Benintendi. And Brandon Drury, I thought was a very interesting signing at first because I'm like, they traded for Gio Urshela, the Angels, that is. And they have Rendon. Jared Walsh plays first. So is he going to play second base? Like, I don't know what he's going to do. But the Angels are in a place where they need major league talent. I spoke about that with Hunter Renfroe in my first episode. And this is a good move. He's coming off a year where he was good with the Reds, not so good with the Padres. Hits lefties really well. And the Angels can kind of get in that mode now where they can put the best lineup on the field every day, meaning mixing and matching with him. Maybe him and Jared Walsh are going to platoon at first base because Jared Walsh could not hit lefties at all last year. And you protect against Rendon's health. Gio Urshela may not have to play shortstop anymore because you can move Rengifo there, who I think is an underrated baseball player. Just an overall, I think a solid move. Also, Days Otani needs off. Drury could DH. Um, Solid move. I don't think it's not gonna make the front page, but just adding quality baseball talent to your team is so important nowadays, and I think this is one of those moves. And some small bullpen moves Trevor made to the A's. Sounds like a move where he's going there just to get traded almost, like guarantee yourself a playoff spot because the A's aren't going to keep you. It's weird that the three relievers I'm going to name are all either current or ex Mets. Adam Ottavino back to the Mets. I thought this was a really good move because you can kind of solidify that 7, 8, 9 with him, Robertson, and Diaz. They also got Brooks Raley, so their bullpen's kind of deepening now, which is good for them. And Seth Lugo to the Padres is probably the most interesting out of the three because he's going to start there. Like he's not going to be a reliever there. I think he's going to be in that Nick Martinez role where he's like a 4 inning starter or a reliever to start at least, and then they're going to stretch him out. And then if he fares well, they'll keep him there. If not, he's a more than competent reliever. He's probably one of the better relievers in baseball. Kind of underrated in my opinion. So the smaller moves aren't the most potent. They don't make the most news, but these moves are important. Like I think Brantley back to the Astros is decent. I think they could have done better. I think he's kind of getting old, but the familiarity. They just won the World Series. Why not bring him back? JD Martinez to the Dodgers. I don't really have much to say about that. Just an aging guy that maybe they're going to try to find lightning in a bottle with. And Joey Gallo with the Twins, no pressure on him. Maybe he finds himself again, but I'm not sure because he left the Yankees and everyone acted like that he played really well with the Dodgers. He was just as bad. So he still is a freak athlete. He has a ton of power, but you have to make contact. Maybe the shift helps him a little bit, but I don't know. And kind of scares me a little bit. And Matt Carpenter to the Padres, just adding talent, kind of replacing Josh Bell in a way, and Brandon Drury, but just adding a hitter. This I don't think this is anything more than a depth move. Um, yeah. So those are like the small moves I want to talk about, and there will be more next week. But the market's getting thinner and thinner as we go through this. The next thing I want to talk about is the Boston Red Sox because I think what they are doing is like a malpractice almost for a big market team. I don't like trashing on teams too much, but this team has now historically over the last 5, 6 years not retained talent and not brought back talent in trades either. They just DFA'd Jeter Downs, who was I think the main factor in the Mookie Betts trade. Connor Wong doesn't look to be that great, and Alex Verdugo's a role player. So, and Mookie Betts is a superstar, arguable top 5 player. So you did not get even close to value for that. My point is that Xander Bogaerts is gone. We know that. They signed Justin Turner. Um, I don't really know the purpose of the signing besides filling out your roster. 2-year deal option. And they talked about not trading Rafael Devers, but extending Rafael Devers, and apparently they are galaxies away. If you lose Rafael Devers, who, like Trevor Story and who? Jaron Duran, he hasn't proven anything yet. Bobby Dalbec cannot make enough contact to be a consistent everyday player. You're putting a lot of pressure on Tristan Cassis, Marcelo Meyer. Kike Hernandez is what he is. So is Alex Verdugo. You're putting a ton of pressure, like I said, on guys like Marcelo Meyer, Tristan Cassis, Jaron Duran, and other guys that are going to come up in their system eventually. Rafael Devers has to be priority number one if you're the Red Sox. I don't care if you overpay for him. You need him because you can't lose him and go into a full rebuild because you haven't proven to really develop prospects that well since like Xander and Devers and like their last big free agent signing feels like Chris Sale. Like Trevor Story seems like an average signing right now. We'll see how he fares in year 2, but he's moving to shortstop now, which is a question mark because of his arm. And that might affect his offense again. We don't know. But the Red Sox, I like if you look at their big money signings, Pablo Sandoval, Carl Crawford, those are the two that popped in my head that was like, what, like Rusney Castillo, like these moves have been so bad and they've let guys go, like not signing Mookie Betts, not giving Xander Bogaerts an offer in spring training that was fair. Instead of 1 for 30 million, give him the 6 for 120. He probably takes that. You have to get this deal done with Devers because his market's only going to go up. Rafael Devers is developing as a fielder. He's never going to be a gold glove, but he's developing as a fielder. He's an elite hitter, and it just his mark is not going to go down because right now it's Otani and him. Like if he does not get a deal done. Besides that, the market right now looks not bleak, but we'll see. Like as things go on, maybe Manny Machado's in that market as well. But it's just him right now, and I don't. I just don't understand what they're trying to do. Like, what are you trying to show your fans? You're the Boston Red Sox. It's not like you're a small market. You have a lot of money. And if you're really banking on these young guys, then you better hope they hit because if not, you are in a long rebuild because you haven't signed anyone. Like I said, Chris Sale's the last major free agent signing you've made. And it worked out. You won the World Series. He's hurt now. I get it. But like you won the World Series. So it kind of validates the contract. What happened to like the Devers Bogarts? I understand not signing JD Martinez, but whatever happened to that? Like that left side of the infield. Mookie Betts, obviously Pedroia retired, but how did we go from like David Ortiz, Dustin Pedroia, Xander Bogarts developing to Rafi Devers, signing JD Martinez, getting Chris Sale, having Mookie Betts? How did we go from that to this so fast? And it just doesn't make any sense to me because they haven't really done anything to combat it. Instead, they signed an aging closer for 16 million a year, which makes no sense to me. If you're rebuilding, there's no point in doing that. Give him a 1-year deal, and signing an aging third baseman who's going to be probably a DH in Justin Turner. I like you're telling everyone you're in it to win it, but you're not trading Bogarts at the deadline to get prospects, and you lose them anyway. And you weren't even close in the contract negotiations. That's my biggest gripe with Contreras and the Cubs. You knew that he was probably going to leave you, and even if you can't get what you wanted back for him, get something because you know he's not coming back. If you knew you weren't getting Xander Bogaerts back, you knew that the market was going to be crazy like this because you knew there were shortstops out there. Get something back. I don't. It doesn't make sense to me. Like trade him at the deadline last year. If you can't get a deal with Devers done, you need to trade him because he's not going to sign back with you at this rate because you guys are you're pinching pennies for your star players. I don't get it, especially this guy. This guy's still kind of young, and I'll take his services on the Mets. So will about 27 to 30 teams in this league. Maybe the Astros, Braves, Cardinals, and I guess Padres, but Machado might opt out. They might be the only teams in the league that don't. I mean, Cleveland might be the only teams in the league that don't take this guy because they have stars. Besides that, everyone's going to be in it for this guy because he's that talented and he's going to command a 10-year deal like the rest of them. And he'll get more money than Xander Bogaerts because he's probably a better hitter. There was some news today that I found very intriguing about Carlos Correa. If you haven't seen already, his physical like didn't go well or something, and they postponed his press conference. I'm not reading too much into this. I think he should be okay, but they said it's not a back issue, it's not a shoulder issue. So what is it? I'm hoping he's okay health wise, but I don't know where this goes now. Like I said, I suspect he's going to eventually sign with the Giants. Like they'll put the pen to paper, they'll put the jersey on, he'll say "Go Giants" or whatever their slogan is, and they'll go on. But if he for some reason doesn't sign, that is not I don't want to say bad on the Giants part, but like irresponsible almost because you didn't do your due diligence on this guy because you could have had Swanson or you could have went harder for Aaron Judge, although I think he was going back to the Yankees anyway. And I hope I kind of hope he signs with the Giants, even though the Mets will probably be the favorites to get him. As a Met fan, I would kind of love that. But anyway, I just found it super like interesting because I remember as a Mets fan, the Carlos Gomez trade that never went through because of a physical. Is this kind of that again? Like I don't know. I don't know what like came up in the physical or if it's just pending results. But that wouldn't make sense. Why would they schedule a press conference if they knew results weren't going to be in yet? It's something to monitor. I wouldn't call it a concern if I'm a Giants fan right now, but definitely something to keep an eye on. I wouldn't panic yet, but I wouldn't be totally upbeat about it. The last thing I wanted to get into today is some news I saw about like the lack of the trade market and how it's kind of a good thing for baseball and how, in my opinion, baseball is pointing up because the CBA was nasty last year. We didn't even know if we were getting baseball, and not gonna lie, that was a dark time for me. I was not ready for a summer without baseball by any means, and apparently the trade market is slim or low because teams aren't ready to give up their veteran players for prospects to rebuild fast because they want to compete. And that is such a good sign. Like I know it's not fun because there's no trades, but that's a good sign for baseball because more teams are in it. Apparently, an executive said that three teams are like rebuilding, and I think it was the Reds, Royals, and maybe Tigers. Like they said the Nationals are even trying to go for it. I'm forgetting a team there probably. Maybe like the Rockies or something like that. But I think that's a great sign for baseball. And I think Rob Manfred hasn't done the greatest job, but I think he deserves some credit for what he's done in the last couple of years. Let's be honest. The three batter minimum, no one said a word about. Like it's went smoothly and no one has said a word about it. The man on second and extra innings, I like. It adds an extra element to the game. It adds action. I am a little old school. I think you should bunt because, especially if you're home and they don't score in the top half of the inning, because get the guy to throw one out. But anyway, now they're implementing more rules. They're implementing the pickoff limit, the bigger bases, the pitch clock, all this stuff, and it'll be weird at first, but we'll adjust. And baseball viewership has gone up. Like local markets have gotten bigger. Stars have grown more. We're never going to be at the football level when it comes to nationally, but regionally, if the markets can dominate, that's great. And I think that sixth playoff team did wonders for the sport because it kept the Orioles in it, who are never good, and they actually had a decent year. They kept them in it, and the Phillies and Brewers towards the end was a fight for the end, rather than both of them missing it and the second seed just running away with it. And I think that it gives teams more opportunities because they saw the Phillies and the Padres as the 5 and 6 seeds go to the NLCS that you just need to get in. Does that devalue the regular season? I don't think so because there's 162 games. You lose 10 in a row, all of a sudden you're out of it. Like, it's not like basketball where 10 of the 15 teams make it. Like 6 of the 15 teams make it. So it's not devalued yet, in my opinion. I don't think it should go longer than that, but I think we're at a perfect sweet spot right now. And like I said, it's going to keep teams more competitive, teams that are buyers at the deadline. We won't see prospects for years. And the viewership of baseball is the major leagues. Let these guys develop, they'll come up eventually. But we see the major leagues. Obviously, like your own team, you'll know your prospects, and like super diehard baseball fans will know like prospects from around the league. But a casual fan knows the Major League Baseball team. Put the best product on the field. Trade for the best players. I also think that I think Phillies Rangers is the first Sunday night baseball game. You might get DeGrom in a new market. That's great for the game. I also think that not playing a division as much, but playing every team in the league is great. Mike Trout is going to be in Citi Field now. Mike Trout's going to play his hometown team, the Phillies, every year. Ronald Acuna is going to play Fernando Tatis Jr. Or for a better example, I'm trying to think of like Shohei Ohtani is going to play the Mets or the Dodgers every year now, and I really think that's phenomenal for baseball. We still play the division 13 times, so I hate when people are devaluing that. Like, sorry, now the Mets can't beat up on the Nationals. Now the Dodgers can't beat up on the Rockies like 19 times. Now the Cleveland can't beat up on the Royals. Like, now you got to play every team. You got to compete every. Not I'm not saying you don't compete, but you have to earn your stripes now. You can't. There's no like. There's not going to be a punching bag in a division anymore to win it. You don't play a team 19 times. Remember a couple years ago, the Rays beat the Orioles 18 times. I think it was. Like, it won them the division. Now you have to play the Dodgers in the National League. You have to play the Cardinals. You have to play the Braves. And like I said, I really think that's great. It also makes for more unique matchups, which I'm a fan of, and it makes for better games, better quality. Also, seeing the same team over and over, you're less likely to watch it. If I see the Angels once a year, I want to watch them. I see the Nationals 19 times. I can miss a game. And like I said, I think baseball is in a better spot than people give it credit for. And I think this is a big reason why. I think the game's only going to get better. I'm a little afraid of the next CBA, what's going to happen. But as of right now, baseball is moving in the correct direction, in my opinion. That's all I have for you guys today. I really appreciate you guys listening, and Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Just happy holidays in general. And our next episode will be the last one of the year, and hopefully 2023 will lead us to some fun surprises and hopefully big moments with this podcast because I really enjoy doing it. I just love talking baseball, and this brings me that joy. So, like I said, you know where to find us. Subscribe, like, comment, do what you got to do. But most of all, just I really appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys next week.